fundamentally, I think it's the need for the young persons in Africa to synergize because there is a lot of disparity between our states as a result of language and culture and the existing boundaries that we have. So the students will understand that the earlier, the better for us. And we must try to develop a common mindset and understand that we are engaged in the same environment, and the best way we could all strike together is um, through trade, but mutual trade, as I thought.
Imagine growing up in a large family of 11, walking 6 kilometers every day to go to school. Yet you still have the motivation and drive within you to build a future that empowers over hundreds of people within your country. Today, I am joined by a remarkable young man who's making positive impact in the lives of the young people in the Gambia. Mr. Lamin Gassama is a youth development expert, policy analyst. He is involved into agro-business, and his entrepreneurial ability has not just helped the young people in transforming their lives, but he's building a future for them. Please stay tuned as we discuss the opportunities and challenges faced by young people within Gambia. But before I turn the platform over to our guest, I want you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel so that whenever I post similar contents like this, you'll be amongst the first people that will be notified. Today's video is being sponsored by Magnite Clothing Brand. If you are living in Europe, you can actually check them up on their Instagram page. The link will be in the description of this video. Mr. Lamin Gassama, you are welcome to Unpopular Opinion, and the platform is yours. You can feel free.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Sarif, for that very good introductory. As you rightly said, I came from a very humble background, and I've been through the public education system from primary to secondary level. And but during my time going to school, I have a passion making impact on society and also adding value to the people that live around me, and that has encouraged me in getting into civil society activities, social entrepreneurship, advocacy, and other productive engagements at both domestic and national level. And then somewhere around 2017, upon getting inspired, a conference called the YALISI, that is the Youth Agribusiness Leadership and Entrepreneurship Summit Innovation. This was a global summit that was organized by Jean, held at our neighboring country in Senegal. And on arrival, we were inspired on the outcomes of the summit, myself and some of my colleagues, and we thought it would be very much relevant that we create an organization, a business support organization precisely, that is going to focus on helping young people getting engaged within the private sector meaningfully, but also in general economic activities of the state. Hence, the number that, as per the NEET, that is youth not employed, educated, or trained. The ratio was very, very high in the country, and so many young people also have challenges in relation to career guidance and so many other issues. So we felt that it would have been very much pivotal that we have a business support organization that is specifically going to focus on empowering SMEs, but precisely youth SMEs, in ensuring that they also become meaningful players within the economy, being job creators, but also be able to add value in the entire value chain of the private sector. So basically, this is what inspired myself and some of my colleagues in establishing what we call the Gambia Youth Chamber of Commerce. And it was a tough ride because, it's a developing country with very scarce resources. But then you have to be very much strategic in how you mobilize participatory rate in activities of the chamber, but fundamentally also mobilize the resources that could ensure that the institution or the organization could provide sustainable business development services to its members. And thankfully, we have grown up to this stage. And right now, we have decentralized structures across all the 6 administrative regions of the country. through what we call the 8 respective regional coordination committees. At the national level also, we have 3 sector committees. These are the sector committee for agribusiness, sector committee for industrial, and sector committee for services. And the head of all these sectors are embedded within the composition of the board of directors, which I currently chair as the president. And we have a management structure also that is headed by CEO and different departments, including the Department for Corporate Affairs, Department for Finance, Department for Business Development. Now we also have a project coordination team. And currently the institution is growing, and we hope that we can continue to provide more services to young people in business through continuous partnership, continuous engagement, and also productive um, inclusivity in terms of projects, in terms of initiatives, and in terms of the harmonization of development programs and initiatives that add value to this very, very crucial sector of the economy, precisely, or most importantly, on agribusiness.
Thank you very much for that brief explanation. You know, you talk about your humble beginning, and I like to understand what actually inspired you to delve into youth development, entrepreneurship, especially in the agricultural sector. What drove that motivation?
Yeah, first to begin with, as per the youth component, you may understand developing countries have a lot of deficiencies in terms of crucial services that are relevant towards human development, especially on education, skills, and capacity building. And most of the times, those that are trapped in these circumstances are young people, despite the fact that they constitute a significant proportion of the population and also the highest component of the labor force. Um, there's a big chunk of young persons that are not employed. As per the last Gambia labor force survey that was conducted, about 42% approximately of young persons were confirmed to be unemployed. And even as for those that were employed too, you will realize that another significant proportion are not gainfully employed. And this have, of course, culminated into so many issues and, of course, aligned to social factors also. Young people that are not employed mostly are prone to be engaged in unproductive activities. Some of them are quite, idle in their environments, in their neighborhoods without having the opportunity to add value to their lives as a result of the deficiencies that they have in the areas of skills, in the areas of education, in the areas of access to entrepreneurship opportunities, access to finance, and but fundamentally also access to career guidance and mentorship. Because sometimes resources may be available even within a particular environment, but how aware are these young people of these existing resources, and how well could they be able to use their skills, use their talents, and use their expertise to be able to tap these existing resources that are within their environment, in monetizing them, in making a living out of it, but a sustainable living also, in ensuring that they could have a sustainable source of life. And so, in most of these um, areas, it requires at least for someone to start the lead of an organization or for any form of intervention that could help in reducing the gap, in ensuring that the gap that exists between young people and opportunities, the gap is minimized, and there is a very strong linkage that is established between young persons and opportunities through respective services that may be provided to them. And of course, as seen in most African countries, most of our developing countries, they have governments who are highly strained with public budget, and as a result of high debt and also insufficient physical discipline, and also insufficient budget allocations to certain priority areas. So when it comes to this significant areas, especially really regarding young people, regarding skills, regarding education, regarding entrepreneurship, uh, one society will require independent actors like us also to see how best we can come in and add value and try to see how best we can make good use of the existing policy frameworks and also environment that could at least create some more opportunities for young persons, and also in developing the mindsets of the young person. Because I mean, having the capacity also sometimes you may see that there are a good chunk of young person that have the capacity who may have access to go to school, for example, or maybe have access from a family line to inherit some assets or some financial capital. But if they do not also have the right mindset, I mean, you will expect the unproductive use of these resources or the unproductive use of these opportunities by a particular young person. And that is the reason why we are also hell-bent in trying to ensure that we influence a positive mindset among young persons. And the best way we think we can do that is through peer education strategies, because it can be very much effective through communication rooms where young persons engage young persons as well. And we are trying to see how best we can employ all of these diversified strategies in engaging young people in it was building their capacity. Secondly, reducing the bottlenecks that exist between young persons and opportunities. But thirdly, also ensuring that the young persons also that may already get these human capital development opportunities to make good use of the resources and the existing opportunities that they have around them. Because through this, at least we can have a multiplier effect where, I mean, every year at least we can have hundreds of SMEs, I mean, generated hundreds of jobs created, if not thousands of indirect jobs also created. And the more the multiplier effect proceeds, the more employment opportunities that we have within the country, the more enterprises that we have. And of course, that's also more tax for government, which government also could use to finance public services, which of course will have an indirect benefit towards these young persons again through education, health, and other services that will be provided there. So um, dealing with this crucial sector, you could see that it have an indirect cross-cutting effect across all other sectors of any country. Secondly, of course, with in regards to agribusiness, I mean, we have a lot of potentials in terms of our environment, in terms of first the land. We have a very good fertile land. Of course, access to water also. We are lucky that most of our wetland areas have access to fresh water, which is able for rice cultivation and other cultural productivity. But also with the growing population and the growing demand on food commodities, have seen a stretch in terms of the level of importation. And this is definitely not helping the state because it is increasing the trade deficit of the country. Because most of the import products that are brought into the country are food-related items. Because you know, food is an essential commodity; people cannot live without. So, I mean, a poor person that is having, let's say, for example, 1,000, and he should spend from that 1,000 on food, he should spend on education, he should spend on health on the same 1,000. If food takes the chunk of it, like 700, the person will have no other choice. So you have to sacrifice education, sacrifice health, perhaps on other, um, some of the other indicators. But certainly you'll have to spend on food because food is survival. So the more that we are dependent on imports and the more the population is growing, and of course, the more scarcity of productive land that we have agriculture, one will realize that um, urgent intervention is highly needed in this area. And those that could fast track the production rate are the young persons because they are the chunk of the labor force rate. And another important indicator also is that agriculture is the highest sector of employment, despite the fact that it's not the highest GDP contributor as compared to the service sector. But when it comes to employment, it is the highest in terms of the employment numbers. So that also gets to tell us that it is part of those sectors. If well focused on and well supported, it could really speed up, reduce the rate of unemployment that we have in this country. But thirdly, also seeing how best we can help to strengthen the rural economy, which is very, very much fundamental because the rural um, local government areas and regions are significantly dependent on agricultural activities. And over the years, with the diminution of agricultural activity in these rural areas, we have seen a growing rate of rural to urban migration because of the scarcity of opportunities that are within the sector. but also because of the increase in the unattractiveness of the agricultural sector towards young persons. So we're trying to see how best we can create innovations and ideas that could make the sector attractive for young people so that they can be passionate and they can be attracted to venture into such activities. And then and only then we can have a very good productive food basket that will not only generate a lot of employment opportunities, but fundamentally will strengthen the rural economy and will increase the social and economic resilience of the country, would also increase the spending rate. The household income also will increase. The nutritional values of the households will increase. I mean, there are a lot of indirect impact that such could have for the society. But as the saying goes, food is always fundamental in the development aspiration of every state. So as much as we may be very much interested in other sectors of the economy like ICT, service sector, like light manufacturing, but agriculture certainly exists as the one of the most important pillars in relation to some of these indicators that I have just mentioned.
That brings me to my next question. You've been working with young people for a good number of years now, and you've co-founded many youth organizations. So, can you explain what do you think are the most important or critical challenges that young people experience every day in Gambia in terms of starting up their own businesses, or in terms of uh, education, or in terms of participation in economic activities?
Yes, thank you for that question. One of the first bottlenecks, obviously, it has to do with the education system because the education system has not been quite relevant in terms of the curriculum and in terms of the type of skills that are transferred to young persons. And as a result, education certainly is a factor because most of the knowledge and skills that are transferred to young people is not that valuable enough for young persons to be dependent on in making them competitive within the private sector space or generally within the labor force. Because education and skills is quite fundamental in that. So most of the times what people realize is that some of these skill services are even outsourced to bigger firms or sometimes to even foreign consultants as a result of the deficiency in terms of the quality of high skilled labor that we have within this country. And secondly, we have to do with the administrative bureaucracies in terms of business formalization. For example, currently in the Gambia, most young persons who want to venture into the private sector do not have adequate resources when it comes to information, especially in terms of standardization of their products, in terms of registration. Currently, there are only two business registration centers in the country, which are within the range of the capital city, Banjul, and of course within the greater Banjul area. So all other young persons who may want to formalize their business within other regions, especially in the provincial regions, find it very difficult to register their business. Um, Thirdly, we have to do with the financial um, infrastructure that we have in this country. Most of the financial products in terms of loans are not very much friendly for SMEs or growing enterprises to tap into due to the level of bureaucracies, the level of collaterals. Uh, of course, you will realize that most of these young persons find it very difficult to provide collaterals because most of them are from poor backgrounds, if not average income family homes. So that too is a problem. And as a result, majority of the SMEs find it very difficult having financial um, products or services to be able to help increase their speed of growth. Fourth, also is the land tenure system for those engaged within the agricultural sector. Most of the lands in the Gambia are traditionally managed by families and also community heads, they call them alcalos. And some are within the disposal of the chiefs, and some are within generally within the family heads. So most young persons growing up and wanting to venture into agricultural activities find it very difficult having access to land where they could engage productively carry on their activities themselves. And this is certainly part of even the factors that is depriving many young persons getting into the sector because it requires a lot of assets, capital, which they cannot have access to. And of course, finally, also is the disoriented nature of our market system. Our market systems are not that very organized, and as a result, SMEs that wanted to start businesses and are not engaged with chambers of commerce or other forms of business organizations may not necessarily have adequate information or the strategies for them to be able to penetrate the market uh, because producing a product is one, but having access to the markets is even more crucial. And if you are not having the proper transport mechanisms that have to relate to packaging, for example, or those that are dealing with the food sector, you will find it very difficult to preserve and to transport products to the market, but also to have potential buyers that will be readily available to be able to buy your products. Um, and of course, finally, also we have to do with the bottlenecks that have to be in terms of the trade barriers. The Gambia, as you may know, is surrounded by Senegal on the trade sides, and not east and on the south or southern part of it. And some of the export trade activities that may require the transit of goods and services between Gambia and Senegal and Gambia and other countries that are bounded Senegal, like Guinea-Bissau, Mali, uh, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and, and, and and Mauritania. They find it very difficult due to state border um, bureaucracies and also due to the poor transport infrastructure and the high costs on logistics and all and other, charge services that entrepreneurs will likely be exposed to if they want to explore foreign markets close by countries due to the small size of market they have in the Gambia. So you could see from both sides, from both domestic and foreign trade. Generally, these are most of the issues that young persons are faced with. Of course, the digital infrastructure also in the country is not very much up to notch because areas have to do with internet, areas have to do with electricity and other line services that are very much fundamental. And so digital trade quite lacking behind. And as you may know, in the 21st century, now most of the economic sector is being digitalized, and most business activities also are going digital. So having the right digital infrastructure also is quite crucial, and that's the reason why the chamber has been engaging with government, also private sector, as well the National Assembly Senate Committee for Trade, trying to see how best we can have continuous dialogue, but also action-oriented interventions that could be done, at least to minimize some of these bottlenecks moving forward.
Thank you very much for that explanation. That brings me to my next question. That is, agriculture seems to be a major component of your work. Why do you think agribusiness is a business that holds huge potential for young people?
Yes. First, of course, is its potential to reduce the high rate of unemployment in this country. As you may recall, at the start of my inputs, did made mention that the unemployment rate stands at 42%. So you may realize that is a very, very big chunk. 42% of the youth population is very, very high. It's in the hundreds of thousands of persons without employment. So, and agriculture looking at this potential to create high volumes of employment, one is makes it quite fundamental for young people. Secondly, also, one will realize that the agricultural value chain is it's a very wide sector. It has a lot of indirect impact and can create a lot of indirect development in other sectors. For example, coming from research and development, that's one. Two, you have the production side. From production, you get into the other stage, which is packaging, processing, and marketing and distribution, which also, I mean, the transport service also is dependent on. And when you look at the transport service, also you realize that majority of your employees that are engaged in that sector also are young people. And so from the transport side to the retailers also. So there is an entire value chain, a very, very big cycle of value chain that is dependent on the agricultural sector. So you will see that that when there is a significant proportion of young persons engaged within the agricultural production sector, for example, that is going to indirectly increase the number of jobs for young persons within the transport sector, within the packaging sector, even within marketing and distribution. For young persons that are very much fond of the digital creations, with advertising and digital marketing, I mean, they could also benefit from that value chain. Those that are engaged in the retail uh, sector also could benefit from the value chain. So there is a whole uh, bunch of young persons from across all sectors who may indirectly benefit from the increment of agricultural production activities, and is also one of the activities that, I mean, if one is given the right infrastructure, if one is given the right skills, I mean, it could be a very sustainable source of living, uh, especially when it is a commodity that is always of significant demand, even for the young persons themselves. So,
You've been working with the Gambian Youth Chambers of Commerce, and you are currently the president of the chambers. So I'd like to understand how has your work with the chambers has been able to create opportunity for young people in terms of employment and in terms of starting up their own businesses.
yes, certainly. We have a variety of services that are highly diversified based on need assessments that are usually conducted uh, in respect to young persons in ensuring that we get their information in areas that they need help or support. And through that process, we were able to have a lot of initiatives over the years. Part of them is business formalization, that is one. And but before business formalization, we have what we call the business advisory services. Through this process, we do a lot of awareness raising to encourage young persons into the cultural sector, the service sector, industrial sector of the economy, and they are also provided guiding information on how to formalize their businesses. That is one that the chamber has been engaged in. And the next one also is the business development services (BDS). Through this BDS component, we have entrepreneurship training workshops that are provided to young persons. We also have the coaching services through which tailor-made coaches that have experience in their respective sectors are employed to provide coaching services to young persons, guiding them and add value to their businesses. The next steps that are required to be ensuring that it becomes sustainable small medium enterprises. We have also been engaging in uh, financial education in relation to tax laws, in relation um, financial services that are available within the country. We also have been engaging in the skills development, especially when it comes to packaging, when it comes to digital marketing, for example, and also other relevant specialized areas where young enterprises have high gaps and needs to improve upon. And through these respective activities, we have been partnering with a series of NGOs, government, regulatory institutions, the academia, and also the US system, to increasing the level of service that are provided to young persons across the country. The demand for services, of course, is very, very, very high um, across all the 53 districts that we have within the country. And we have to continue working very hard to try to increase our partnership uh, collaboration so that we can harmonize existing opportunities for young persons to excel in this area. And we also have been engaged in what we call the Business Accelerator Program. These are programs that are meant to help augment the existing levels of small enterprises who required some support to graduate to medium-sized enterprises. Through these services, most of these enterprises were able to have some increment in revenue, increment in operational activities, and that also creates uh, one or two jobs for each of these enterprises. And as a result, also a lot of indirect jobs are created. And fundamentally, also we do have the annual national trade fairs. This is an activity where we have usually between 300 to 400 stores with participants from all sectors, but priority allocation of stalls are given to youth enterprises and SMEs in ensuring that we provide them with market opportunity for them to be able to, add visibility to their products, but also influence their trade activities. And a significant volume of them have even benefited from sponsorship stalls to attend trade fairs free of charge, and revenues that they generate from these trade fairs also they were able to use apply it back to their businesses added value. So this is just a summary of some of the services that we offer to young people, but I'm sure there have been more to it, perhaps in our subsequent interactions.
Okay. Given the high unemployment rate in the Gambia and across the sub-region, what specific policy do you think in the Gambia context that needs to be changed in order to create an enabling business environment for young people to be able to participate in entrepreneurship that leads to economic development in the Gambia?
Yes, certainly one will have to be with the education policy that is very, very, very fundamental in ensuring that young people have the right mindset, the right basic numerical and analytical skills, and also creative thinking, of course, which is very much fundamental, so that they can have an entrepreneurial mindset, ensuring that they get the right person, the right orientation for them to venture into self support initiatives. And so, in that line, definitely we need to improve on that policy. Secondly, also have to give it the making Tibet education more friendlier for young persons through youth-friendly centers that can be established across the country, and in ensuring that young persons who want to venture into any form of Tibet skill, they're able to get the right support, but also the right guidance to be able to progress, not only in just having the basics in that Tibet area, but be able to have a high value skill in that area, because that is what is going to make them competitive, for them to be able to have sustainable source of livelihood within their respective sectors of passion. For example, you train a young person on carpentry or on welding, and it's only on the basics, and of course, of all technologies that the person is exposed. You cannot expect that young person to be competitive within the job market or to have a sustainable or market relevant skill. So that is another policy that have to look that have to look on. The third policy also have to do with the financial system. The government need to create more guarantees and more financial uh, solutions. Though currently they came with a new project that is on that area, specifically on agriculture, on Kabisar, agriculture. But we hope that we can have more of those projects and opportunities. Else, it is required to or relevant to be embedded within our financial policies, ensure that more instruments are provided in that lane. Another policy aspect also we have to do with the public financing. Um, Central government budgeting have to factor the cross-cutting nature of young persons, because youth are cross-cutting, and they are indirectly aligned to every other sector of the state. Therein, when it comes to budget formulation, is relevant that the youth perspective or the youth component is streamlined into the budget considerations of all sectors, so that increase on government's support rate in supporting young entrepreneurs. There are supposed to be a significant consideration in terms of mainstreaming the youth component in the budget cohorts of different sectors of the state, because youth issues are cross-cutting, cross sectors, so that this also will help increase the participatory rate of young persons in all sectors of the economy. And finally, the last policy focus that I have to do with information dissemination and media, especially digital media, because this is a tool that have a significant level of influence towards young persons, and it requires the um, a highly nurtured and highly structured manner to ensure that young person have access to right information and also right influence for them to be able to venture into productive sectors of the economy, but also ensuring that the unhealthy behaviors that is currently being influenced by these digital tools is well minimized. So generally, these are some of the policy areas that I think need to be looked into in ensuring that threats to young people are safeguarded upon, but also young people also have the opportunity to be able to go through the education system that will not only teach them on how to read and write, but to be able to inculcate the right mindsets in them. Because if you don't have the right mindset, it's obvious that irrespective of whatever opportunities or volume of resources that you may have, and then you may lack the opportunity of proper utilization.
Thank you very much. I think we are coming to an end. I think I have like few questions more, 2 or 3 questions. Uh, I'd like to ask you this question. I mean, informal sector plays significant role in the economy in Gambia and across the region. So, how do you think that young people that are involved within the informal sector of the economy can transition into scalable businesses that may result into formal sector business? How do you think that is possible?
Yes, first there is need to have a tailor-made program that is going to ensure that these young persons that are within the informal sector are well guided to formalize their business. Formalization is one of those key pillars. For example, with regards to the GDPA compliance uh, um, requirements, you will realize that there are a lot of or a significant proportion of skills businesses that are managed by a person, but because they are not formalized as per the GDPA requirements, they could not have access to contractual opportunities, access to tender procurement opportunities, which um, of course limits their access uh, to the markets or access to revenue increment in their respective enterprises. Secondly, also is um, the development of a tailor-made informal training manual that is going to help in advancing the relevant skills that they have. And some of them that are having deficiencies in terms of digital skills and adult literacy also support in that area, so that they will at least be able to understand numerical values and also be able to make very basic analytics in business, because this is also very much crucial, especially when it comes to the use of digital tools in enterprises. Though currently the government have created a special formalized certification program for young persons that are in the informal sector. So usually, if you are a young person with a skills in any area that you want to have an accreditation as per your level of qualification, you can go to the National Accreditation and Quality Authority, where you can be subjected to standard examination that is tailor-made to young persons doing informal sector. And if you get the required skills demonstration, you are given the accreditation level of that skills that you have. And finally, also will have to be in creating tailor-made informal sector associations through which these young persons that are within a common trade could be supported through tailor-made business development programs, because most of the time the dynamics that they face in terms of challenges quite different from those that are involved in the former sector. So in ensuring that we aim to reduce this gap, but also for them to be able to access uh, the existing markets that we have within the country.
Okay. I think this will be the second to my last question, and it is about agriculture continues to become a major sector within the Gambian economy, and young people are participating through your initiative that you've created along with your colleagues. I hope that it becomes a continual process that young people see agriculture as a process for survival, not just as a means of employment, but as a means to become entrepreneurs, as a means to feed the Gambia. There's also another aspect of agriculture, which is climate change. Global warming is taking place. How well do you prepare young people who are involved into agriculture to adapt to changes, especially related to climate change, because it is a significant aspect of the world today?
Yes, yes, certainly it is a very big concern, and we are doing regular studies in terms of climate smart cultural practices. And through this process, we create what we call the network of young persons that are in specific line sectors. For example, in the general agricultural sector, young persons that are involved in poultry, we create a special B2B networking sessions for them. That is the business to business sessions. Those that are engaged in the vegetable production, they also have their own specialized segments. Those involved in larger ruminants, in the dairy sector, in food production, food processing. So through these segmented subsectors, they are provided with continuous information with regards to updated strategies and technologies through which young persons could learn from. Through the networking sessions, they are given the opportunity to engage in what they call shared learning. And through these shared learning processes, young persons are able to share those that have very good practices or very good milestones, their agricultural interventions through smart climate practices, so that their colleagues also could learn from it. And also possibly to what we call the farmer field visits, wherein young persons are engaged in specific farms and other processes that do so that. We also do partner with NGOs to provide continuous training activities to young people that are in the business sector. And through this process also research outcomes on smart agricultural activities also are provided as a way of increasing their capacity and how best they continue to improve it, especially how they do their production. Of course, the use of resources also is very much important, especially in the packaging sector, to ensure that the packaging from production to packaging to distribution of agricultural products are done through climate friendly activities. Enterprises that are engaged in the use of non-climate change friendly products are also um, enlightened on what alternatives strategies could they use in using the resources in their entire production chain and supply chain that may not necessarily also affect climate change indicators. So generally, this is what we are doing to discuss it, and we intend to partner with more NGOs and also research institutions to ensure that we increase the knowledge and understanding of young persons in this crusade.
All right. Thank you very much for that explanation. And I think we've come to an end of today's edition of Unpopular Opinion. And if there's something that we didn't talk about during the show and you want to bring it up, I think I'll give you 5 minutes to do your closing statement and then we call it a day.
Yes, fundamentally, I think it's the need for young persons in Africa to synergize, because there is a lot of disparity between our states as a result of language and culture and the existing boundaries that we have. So the students will understand that the earlier the better for us, and we must try to develop a common mindset and understand that we are engaged in the same environment, and the best way we could all strive together is through um, through trade, but mutual trade, as I said. And we should work together in increasingly creating strategies and also mechanisms through which we can increase on the trade volume between our states. And the other aspect also is the trade barriers that continue to exist between African countries. Luckily, with the coming of the AFCTA, it is of course, a very good welcoming development, and most countries have made commitments to ratify signing the agreement, but there is still a very big gap when it comes to enforcement and when it comes to ensuring that there's proper accountability and monitoring, which I hope that the AFCTA Secretariat and the African Union can increase their speed in engaging with domestic governments, ensuring that create work environments to reduce these bottlenecks. And finally, also is the need for increased investment in human capital. We need increased investment in human capital. We are not only in Ghana, but also to Africa, and also to be able to allow labor migration amongst neighboring countries, irrespective of the boundaries we have. Someone in Ghana that have skills, petrochemical engineering, should be able to go to Benin and work quite comfortably, which are no bottlenecks. Someone in the Gambia should go to Senegal, someone in Senegal go to Gambia. Through this process also, we can be able to harness and harmonize existing labor opportunities that we have amongst ourselves. And I believe through this common market, we will be able to increase the GDP growth of our respective states.
All right, Mr. Lamin, thank you so much. And it has been a very great pleasure to have you here today.